Okay, hello everyone. My name is Laquan Williams, and in this video, I wanted to discuss the subject matter of the Loki season 1, episode 2 episode called "The Variant." It aired actually today, yesterday, on Wednesday, the 16th of June, 2021. So this is the second episode from the first season overall. Just like the Marvel show on Disney Plus, the Captain America and Winter Soldier obviously show, it's going to have 6 episodes overall, and it's the first season. This is the second one. It's airing on Wednesdays. They decided to move, Marvel and Disney Plus decided to move it from Fridays to Wednesdays because the ratings were so good for Loki's first show, the episode debut, which was last week. So basically, what happened in this episode is we obviously got the reveal of the other version of Loki that they're going to be showcasing in the show that he's supposed to be helping the Time Variance Authority go after, and that is Lady Loki, and that was revealed in the episode. Finally, the person took the cloak, the jacket that they had on their head, and revealed itself to be Lady Loki, a woman who had blonde hair. Obviously, didn't look nothing like Loki, but as we've learned throughout this episode and the first episode, Loki has many different variations of himself and different versions of himself, obviously, which can be the same word as well, where he obviously is taking form of a kid, a woman, all types of versions of different versions of himself exist, obviously. Because obviously he is just like a shapeshifter, because he obviously is a trickster, and he does obviously have to continue to use these tricks and illusions in order to keep people off of his trail if he is obviously on the run or trying to hide from people. So because of this, obviously he has to change his appearance, and in different timelines he obviously has been, obviously. So we got to see obviously that take place, and what happened is we got to see at the end of the episode, Lady Loki went into a looks like another door slash portal into another timeline. We don't know where, but it looks like Loki. What obviously happened is, yes, Loki did go after her to see where she's going. The Time Variance agents, Authority agents, got up to him with Agent Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, and looked at him and basically kind of gave him that look like when they yelled out his name, Loki, like, don't go in there, and he went in there after her. So we're going to see on the next episode what's going to happen with that. But she apparently, Lady Loki, took all the apparent time charges that the Time Variance agents or Authority agents use to reset the timeline when they come into in contact with a criminal slash variant, is what they call them, obviously, and they want to reset the timeline so everything that happened before that person screwed it up is obviously erased and gone, and everything's back to normal. Lady Loki took all these charges that she stole from all the agents that she killed, and she basically had she used some type of magic, obviously trickery, which she can do, and made them all disappear, and they all were going into different timelines. And because of this, she's screwing up the space-time continuum itself, and the timeline, obviously, that is put into place by the Time Variance Authority, and obviously the people who are in charge of them, which are obviously the Time Agents. The Time Council, the people, that obviously the guys who are the higher ups, they're like supposed to be creating the timelines, and they're supposed to be this big, huge, like, god, obviously, like, figures who have created this. So obviously they are in charge of that, and the agents are the ones that work for them on the outside of the world, and on the ground level, as they make way in space and mess with obviously time itself, and correct the wrongs and rights of everything. So we got to see that take place. Loki was given a bigger position in this episode with Owen Wilson, who is playing Agent Mobius. He gave him to ask to make sure he obviously was doing his work and keeping up basically his end of the deal slash kind of bargain that they have, where they help him, and because of this, they're helping Loki's helping them capture another version of himself, and because of this, he's able to go out into obviously the world and the field and go into different timelines, and he's able to walk around. He gets the privilege to do that rather than being stuck in his cell, handcuffed, and obviously not able to move anywhere, obviously, because he'll be in prison, obviously. But that's basically what's happening. So we got to see that take place. he was looking up different variations and obviously timelines and events, including Thor Ragnarok when that took place, and they figured out obviously Loki himself that the Lady Loki is hiding out in different timelines where apocalypses are happening, like big huge world events, like obviously Ragnarok and stuff like that, or Pompeii, which obviously took place in like the 1800s or the 1700s, when a whole entire in Italy, where a whole entire city of Pompeii was wiped out by a big huge volcano, obviously explosion, and the whole entire city and everybody died. So they went there and they tried to find her. And what ended up happening was that they ended up going to the year 2050, and they found out that she was hiding there. Some type of big, huge disaster of hurricane took place, and this was on Earth, obviously. Not obviously, obviously in this specific timeline, she was taking place. All these people were at a big, huge, like type of obviously a FEMA camp. It was similar to that, and they obviously, the people there who were regular citizens asked the Time Variance Authority, "Are you guys with FEMA? Are you here to help us and save us and help us get out of here? We have women and children here that need help and assistance." And they obviously said, "No, we're not." And they obviously were there to find Lady Loki and get out of there before the timeline reset, because they knew she was probably going to be doing that, because that's what she's been doing. You know, keeping her, taking care of her tracks, and obviously covering her tracks, and obviously making sure that they're not able to find her before they before obviously they catch her, you know, her in the act. They're there after she's obviously killed their agents and stuff, and that's what she's been doing. So that's basically what's been happening and what we saw in this episode, and obviously what's been taking place. This episode was very interesting, because obviously now that we've seen Loki obviously get to go to different timelines and explain obviously to the Time Variance Authority what his beliefs are, and obviously his whole entire his methods of how he's able to figure this stuff out. But they still don't trust him, obviously, but they still needed his help in order to find himself, because like I said, when in the last week's episode, it's just like Catch Me If You Can. You need a criminal to catch a criminal, and he's obviously the criminal slash bad guy who's helping to catch another one, which is obviously him, another version of himself. So he knows how he thinks and what not, and obviously he's able to help them out with that, with the Time Variance Authority, and he's trying to make sure that he can get in good with them and get to speak to obviously the people who are above them, which are obviously the agent masters of time, obviously. Whatever their name is, I keep forgetting, but that's basically what it is. It's a Time Variance Authority, Time Variance, you know, obviously the guys who are in charge, obviously. So they're trying to figure that out, obviously. Well, he's trying to overthrow them and figure out a plan. So basically, like I said, they're like the people who created like time itself, basically, and the universe and what the current timeline is. So that's basically what's going on. He explained to Lady Loki that he's trying to get on their good side in order to get close to them, so he can overtake the Time Variance Authority slash agency and become obviously some type of ruler, or get to move around through time and be free, and possibly get his hands on the Tesseract again, so he actually can move around, obviously. And that's basically what's been happening. So because of this, obviously they don't trust Loki. They're keeping him very close to obviously their side, but obviously now that he's obviously loose and has been escaped yet again, but now through a different timeline where he's trying to go after Lady Loki to figure out what she's trying to do in her next move. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's still very interesting. A little bit more better than last week's episode, but obviously you got right off to the beginning, obviously, the actions of what were going to take place, because it got right into it with the first episode. So you got, last week when you got to see the show and understand what's happening and whatnot, and now Loki has a desk at the Time Variance Authority, obviously, slash agency. It's like a space colony, basically, something out of a Blade Runner or The Fifth Element, basically, if you watch those movies that take place in the future. So that's basically what's been happening. And yeah, so Loki's basically trying to get close to the Time Variance Authority slash the time agents, and try to make sure that he can figure out, obviously, a way to double cross them, but obviously they're not going to trust him. So, but he is also trying to gain some leverage and show that he can be good. So, and he's trying to get on their good side by obviously helping them out catch the different version of himself. So they'll probably give him some type of leverage and let him go in some type of way, but they probably won't. But it's possible they'll let him go, and he'll probably be placed in a specific timeline. I don't know, but we'll see what happens, obviously, and that's basically what's been happening. I don't know if they're going to show any other versions of Loki on the show besides Lady Loki, but that's the main protagonist slash villain that they're going to be targeting, obviously, which Loki was going to help them catch. So that's basically what's happening with this whole ordeal on the show, and that's basically it. So that's basically all I have to say about this episode. Compared to last week's episode, it was the first one. It was very fun. I gave last week's episode, I don't remember my initial review of it as far as the scoring, but this one was a little bit better. I think last week's episode, which was the first one, I gave it about I don't remember what I gave it, but it was fun. I probably would now, thinking about it, probably give it maybe like a 7.5 out of 10. This one I would give 8 because it's a little bit more better. Because you got to see Loki actually go out about and confront obviously the different version of himself, and he was able to move around through different times, moments in time where he got to see what happens. Obviously, he wasn't just stuck in one place because the time variants moved from different timelines and different spaces throughout time, obviously, and events to stop them, and obviously to restore the timeline and balance to the space-time continuum in the universe. So I think that was cool because in the first episode, basically he wasn't moving anywhere, so he was stuck in that place. So it was like kind of claustrophobic as far as what the episode has. But that obviously changed in this episode, the second one. So that's basically what's been happening. Nothing. I guess you could say that had to happen in the first episode, obviously, to get the introduction as to what's been taking place. But I understand that, obviously, but I still think they could have had something where they went on some type of practice mission maybe towards the end of the episode. I think instead of kind of having things drag on a little bit with a continued back and forth, I think dialogue with Loki arguing kind of with Mobius and whatnot, and then him showing all those movie reels and whatnot, and then him escaping the handcuffs that he had on him in the dog shock collar that he was able to get off but he couldn't even leave anywhere because remember I said, like, if you've seen my last week's video, he can't use a Tesseract there at all, and they also have Infinity Stones there at the Time Variance Authority agency, that big huge space colony. No outside magic works there, so Loki was not able to leave or escape with the Tesseract, so that was basically a waste of time. Also, the Infinity Stones that they had there lying around were not working either, so it's like a huge force field of keeping outside magic from being effective there. So it must be very powerful if you can't use the Tesseract or Infinity Stones at all. Loki was not able to use them, he said. So that's why he couldn't escape after he got that big huge shock collar around his neck taken off finally by the agent that put it on him. He put it on Lady instead, and he was able to run around the whole entire facility and try to evade them, but he couldn't escape because, like I said, outside magic does not work, so the Tesseract didn't work, or the Infinity Stones that they had there lying around just freely, like you could just grab them. So that's what happened. So it's basically it for this episode, and that's all I have to say as far as my review goes for Loki's the second episode for the first season, obviously. So that's all I have to say about this. The episode is called The Variant, and Variant or Variants, or what they call the criminals on the show, who are the time bandits, people like Loki who screw up time, who are criminals, who are the bad guys who mess up time in itself. That's what they call them. They call them the Variants. So that's basically it. And that's all I have to say about this episode. And the show overall it's been going pretty good so far. Obviously, it's just 6 episodes. Obviously, just like the Captain America Winter Soldier show as well. And we'll see what happens with that whole situation as far as season 2 goes. If they're going to move to possibly 8 episodes to increase it, I would hopefully on Disney Plus with Marvel, as well as obviously the Loki show, this second season that they have after this, if they're going to increase the episode order to 8 episodes instead of 6. So we'll see what happens though, but we won't know until obviously possibly the fall, more than likely obviously before this year's over. So that's basically it, and that's all I have to say about this. Let me know if you've watched the episode, or if you have not, or if you're going to watch the show, because you're interested obviously in the Loki character. And I don't know if he's going to appear in the next Thor movie. It's possible he might be in Thor: Love and Thunder. They're talking about even making a 5th Thor movie after the 4th one. I don't know why, but if they actually do that, I think it's still stretching it. I'm actually surprised they even do a 4th one after the 3rd one. It wasn't that great at all, but it still did kind of well. So we'll see what happens with that. And any other appearances on any other Marvel TV shows and or movies, if he'll be making some type of guest appearance. appearances, obviously, or this is, it's possible. So we'll see what happens with that. That's basically it. And that's all I have to say about this again. In regards to Loki's second episode for his first season show, his show that's on Disney Plus that airs on Wednesdays every week. That one episode is put on the show on the TV slash obviously streaming app, and that's basically it. Usually I prefer how Netflix does it, where they just drop the whole season at once. You can binge watch it, but that's not what Disney Plus does. Hulu does the same thing as well. They put one episode per week for the show, so that's basically what they're doing. But that's just what it is. It is what it is, basically. But thank you again for watching. That's all I have to say about this episode in regards to Loki season 1 episode 2 again, my review. And let me know what you have to think about it, and that's all I have to say again. Thank you again for watching. Bye. Thank you.